refers to Shakyamuni Buddha, that is Gautama Buddha. The Buddha told in Pali, "You want to listen attentively now. Maitreya Bodhisattva." At that time, Bodhisattva Maitreya was a Bodhisattva, not a Buddha yet. Maitreya Bodhisattva in the future will be the great refuge for all sentient beings. If there are those who take refuge in Maitreya Bodhisattva, they ought to know the unsurpassed path, that is Tao. Tao is the unsurpassed path on which they should never go back. Once you receive Tao, you should never go back. And this is his prediction, Gautama's Buddha prediction of the coming Buddha, which is the Maitreya Buddha, which is our Mila Zushi. And Jin-Gong Zushi is actually the incarnation of Maitreya Buddha. Am I supposed to press down? The great sutra, the sutra of the great vehicle, Mahayana Sutra. In Buddhism, there are a few schools. Mahayana school is one of them. Disciples of mine, the Buddha says, who follow Maitreya, that is Mila Buddha, will gain liberation in the Longhua assembly. You know what's the Longhua assembly? Longhua assembly is an assembly where one day we will all the disciples of Buddha Jin-Gong will gather at this place. And this place is not on earth. This is in the heavenly realm, where everybody, after the last redemption of souls, all go back. Those who have received Tao, who have cultivated, will be able to attend this Longhua assembly. Can be said to be something like our seminar, our assembly, but on a greater scale. And that's one and only Longhua assembly, where Lao Mu will be gathering all the deities and all the Bodhisattvas and all the Tao members all together and have this assembly. Shakyamuni Buddha, who in his time, Shakyamuni Buddha as Gautama Buddha had inducted the merciful Maitreya into the monastic order and instructed him to save the remaining sentient beings so that they may attain realization and enlightenment. Maitreya is also the great refuge in which sentient beings will abide after Buddha's return to Nirvana. So you see, you can see from here that the Gautama Buddha, that is Shakyamuni Buddha, which belongs to the red young era, has predicted the coming future Buddha, that is Maitreya Buddha, Mila Jusa, in the white young era. And he mentioned that the 10 ways of virtues: do not kill, be kind to animals, and free the captive ones. This is all in the oracle form. This being the virtue of compassion. Do not steal or rob. Take not the things that do not belong to you. This being the virtue of righteousness. E. We call it E. Ren E. Okay. So Ren E is property. The third one is do not be lustful, live the holy life, and avoid sexual immorality, and abide by the virtue of propriety. That is E. You can see the compassion, righteousness, and propriety. And fourth, do not lie, speak the truth, and be honest. This being the virtue of the trustworthy one. Sin, in Chinese, in Mandarin, sin. No loose speech, avoid foul and harsh language, speak kind words, and the virtue of the honorable one. No forked tongue, do not engage in personalities, 是非啊. In Chinese, we call it 是非, 是是非非. Speak kind words. That is the virtue of that's to plant the seed of kindness. When you have personalities into play, then you cannot have harmonious won't be able to have harmony. No abusive language. Do not speak ill of others. Use gentle and helpful words. Restrain your lips. No greediness. Be compassionate. Give joyously, so that you can plow the blessings to you. That is the basis of our true wealth, the true basis of wealth. No anger. Do not have any hateful thoughts towards others. No ignorance and no resentment of others. No delusion. Belief in the law of karma. Do not fall into cults and keep faith in the truth, that is Tao. There are 5 criteria, according to Patriarch Buddha, that for returning to heaven. If you want to go back to heaven, this is Tian Ran. Tian Ran before is our teacher. Jin-Gong Buddha. Venerable teacher Tian Ran has mercifully said, the ultimate criteria by heaven in determining one's meritorious fruits and rewards, which are not based on extrinsic factors as fame and material wealth. Number 1, one must uphold high morality. He should also observe the precepts, what you should do, what you should not do, the teachings. He must maintain purity of mind and his thoughts. He has to uplift his temperament and establish, we always hear about that, number 5, establish and fulfilling of vows is so very important. It has almost become something that we hear so very often in the temple. To establish, to take vows, is always taking vows, and to fulfill the vows. This is one of the 5 criteria for returning to heaven. Now we come to the text proper itself. When making small talk, when you talk to others, small talk, idle talk, do not engage in gossip. Speak with sincerity. Speak from your heart. Abide by the true Tao. The Qi, the vibes of harmony, will be pervading throughout the universe. Be patient and tolerant. Act simply and honestly. This will help to overcome demonic trials and to eliminate slandering by others. Face up to any situations which you encounter which are to your disadvantage. Very often we find that we always compare ourselves to others. Why am I doing this? Why are they not doing that? So in your mind there is always this advantages and disadvantages. So face up to this situation, accept the disadvantage, while not taking profit, while not profiting at the expense of others. In many ways, 占人的一个便宜啊，占人家的便宜 means you always, human nature is human nature to always take profit, to profit at the expense of others. Because we still have not cultivated in such a way, such a high level where we cannot see the difference between self and others. We still have this discrimination. This is our human nature. And that's why we always try to profit at the expense of others. Sisters, emergence is at hand. Form the covenant before the shadowless mountain. This is actually a saying from the Patriarch Buddha's how do you say that? In Chinese we call it 老母将相通天笑，无影山前对河童。无影 the shadowless mountain. In front of the shadowless mountain 对河童, that is, we form the covenant with 老母 before we come down. So this is exactly the saying in the Maitreya Sutra. This being the third young stage, the times are changing. Everyone, please, has to come forward and put forth all your strength. In thus realizing that bitterness will ultimately be followed by sweetness. Very often, we want to taste the sweet. We don't like bitter. Here, it tells us that bitterness, the bitterness that you suffer will ultimately be followed by sweetness. Suffer first, enjoy later. In today's society, enjoy first. Suffer or not, it's a bit right? Not having suffered, how then will one know what sweetness really is? And the true wealth and honor consists in the enjoyment of the offering of incense for myriads of years. That means when you become the Buddha, people will worship you and respect you and offer incense to you for myriads of years, for a long, long time. 40 years in the world of immortals and Buddhas, there be none that is treacherous, nor is there evil sinfulness. Enjoying endless blessings, that is the world of Da-Hong. The harmony, the world of harmony, the commonwealth state. Now look at this. Can somebody guess who this passage is actually referring to? Wearing the broken hat of a monk and his tattered robe, with shabby clothes covering his body and worn out shoes on his feet. They say, I am crazy, so will I act crazy. Saying that I am ignorant, so will I act ignorant. Here's the clue. With a broken fan in my hand, I roll about, helping whom I come across with the original nature, the true nature. People refer me as the living Buddha, by which I am affectionately known. Which Buddha is he referring to? Yes. He's making reference to Maitreya Buddha is now making reference to the second generation of the white era's patriarch, that is Buddha Jin-Gong. In 1930, Buddha Jin-Gong and Yehre Buddha jointly were conferred the mandate by Lao Mu to become the second generation jointly patriarchs of the what era. And these are the two last patriarchs that we have, totaling 64 in all. In the beginning, there were no humans. With the stroke of one, Fu Si is the first patriarch. Of the 64 patriarchs, Fu Si is the first one. He opened up the primordial heaven, Xian Tian. As time passes, human civilization progresses and develops. The great star has descended for thousands of years. Now is the third period's cosmic disposition again. The 9 classics and the 8 books being passed down to posterity, peace prevails throughout with moral values and etiquette. We are here to spread Tao, is also at the same time to revive the ancient traditions and ancient moral values and etiquette. While we are cultivating, we are also reviving the ancient traditions. That is, during the Confucianist time, we have a lot of teachings to teach people the moral values. So now is also the time for us to revive some of these values. If you don't, when are we going to do that? This is the last era, the white era. Okay. Following the 72 transformations come the 36. In the Bhagavad there are 72 transformations. It's ever changing, constantly changing. You have the yin yang, Following the 72 transformations come the 36, then there are 36 of them. Those who have received Tao will discern the truth. Thousands of sects and cults arising all over the world. You can see now the world is so in a kind of disorderly manner that cults arise. People have lost faith and they believe whoever will claim who they are. People are so desperate now to seek so-called salvation that they turn to all these sects and cults. And this is a time when, together at this Wayang era, when truth is being disseminated, all these cults also come along. Just like, for example, when you have disaster, you have Tao. When you have Tao, you have all these cults. The holy lineage is distinctly vast and obscure. Inscrutable, that means mysterious, are the ways of the divinities. We will never be able to fathom what the divinities have for us. Inscrutable, mysterious are the ways of the divinities. How could then one not be respectful? Without being told, if you were not being told about the truth, and you gain the understanding, you will never know. You will never know. Not being pointed out, it is still difficult, very difficult to get at the truth. He already pressed upon himself to study and to inquire in detail. That's why we are here, all to study now, right? Having been pointed out, having been told that this is the way, this is the principle, it all depends, it all has to rest upon ourselves to study and to make inquiries. That the truth of the origin of all things be known. Everything has its truth in which it consists. Through observation may one see the true nature within you. Heaven and earth do not deviate from the absolute truth. Virtues, though easy to practice, yet how many of us want to do so? We know these are the virtuous ways, but how many of us really would aspire to do so? How many would take the initiative to do so? Heaven being silent, it can neither be seen nor heard. Just like Tao, it can never be seen nor heard. That which man is endowed with is our true self. That is the soul of all beings, being the master of the physical body, which exists neither outside nor within it. The Tao, why is it that it exists neither outside the body or within it? You say, Tao is inside of the body. In this case, he is referring to Tao being everywhere and yet nowhere. See? So it exists neither within nor outside. Because we as human beings, we always look things physically, look at the physical side. When you are in, is in, out is out. Okay? But the truth is that it is neither within nor outside us. Because it is everywhere and yet it is nowhere. The significance of the Tao mind. There are three different types of mind. The first is the Tao mind, the human mind, and the physical mind. The human mind is precariously treacherous. At this very moment, I bet you, your mind is coming across a lot of things. Am I correct? So it's very precarious. One thing is you have this thought, another thing is the next moment you have another thought. This is a human mind. Or this is what people say, the progressive mind. Always thinking. Just an erroneous thought arising in the human mind will obfuscate the Tao mind. And this will cover the Tao mind, just leading one astray. The moment a particular thought goes awry, then you will lead your true self astray. If one loses the original, how then can one seek the truth? Having lost the original, it is rather very difficult to seek the truth. His true nature, although has not left him, his true nature is still there. But you have to rein in the self, control it, pull it back, recover the proprieties, perfecting yourself. We are here to cultivate. Cultivate means to repair in medical seal. To repair means to perfect yourself. And to reform others. Revive the utopian values of antiquity, the old values, the moral principles. We revive them. We revive these values. Man, although now is more educated than in the past, yet can we say that we have become better persons. Can we say that? Yes, we are more knowledgeable. Because it is definitely, as we progress, development also advances, more and more discoveries are made, man's mind becomes more and more sophisticated. But our heart, our very mind, has not actually progressed much. In fact, it's the opposite. With all this material development, we have lost the physical, the spiritual values, and all this. This is what we need to revive. In regulating the family and governing well the country, universal peace will reign. So it all depends upon each and every individual to correct his mind as well as his body. Fairness, 大公司. Fairness and justice will prevail throughout the universe and the world. There will be no, when you read this, does it relate to what it's referring to? Is it correct? Something to do with that. Fairness and justice will prevail throughout, and there will be no cunning and treacherous people. Rulers will be respected, and the subjects will be loyal. Fathers are kind, and sons will be filial. The 5 human relationship bonds will be perfected. The foolish ones have the demeanor of the fool. You know, in the olden days, when they say foolish ones, it's those people who looks like very wild, you know, that uneducated kind of things, very rustic, they call it rustic. Means like very kampong type. In the olden days, a lot of these people. The foolish ones they appear to be fool, you know, because they appear to be uneducated, you know. The wise ones will behave as they should, as the wise, very wise people. The ancients were feral in thoughts. They were very wild in their thoughts. You know, they are wild because they seem to behave wildly, but they are in fact inside that they are not that what you call they may appear to be wild, but inside them their heart is still good. Let's put it this way, okay? But they appear to be otherwise very uncivilized. But nowadays people look like, you know, so smart and all that, but their behavior is very wild and wanton. The ancients will conform to the proprieties. The ancients will conform to the proprieties. They follow the proprieties and were very public spirited. They were frugal. They are very thrifty in living, and they possess a sense of shame. Although they may appear to be very wild, but they still possess some of these virtues. The virtue of a sense of shamefulness, a sense of what is right and wrong, although they appear to be wild. But nowadays, people are full of complaints and grievances. You see a lot of people. Everywhere you go, people complain this, complain that. But the foolish ones of the old, the foolish ones here refer to the ignorant ones. They are foolish not because they are foolish in the sense of what is they're ignorant. They are ignorant. So they were straight-minded. A lot of fools nowadays. Now we see a lot of scams. These are the cheating others. So these are the ignorant ones now. The ignorant ones are now trying to deceive others. Whereas in the previous days, the ignorant ones are very strict-minded. Now, the ignorant ones want to cheat people, thinking that they can get away with it. Okay. The true Tao is that of the 3 faiths, the 3 religions, within which the principle is. Tao is in all the religions. When the lotus flowers and the leaves are gone, only the roots remains. Now there's a hint here. What it's saying is that when the lotus flowers, when the branches and the leaves are gone, here refers to the faiths, that is religions. When the religions disappear, only the roots remains. Only Tao remains. Okay? The great Tao being fundamentally the ultimate principle, it is the one that pervades all, from the past to the present. Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism, they have all lost the true essence. The descending of Tao in the final catastrophe of the third period, unifying the three religions and bringing together thousands and myriads of schools. All schools, all cults, all these return to the one. Thousands of Buddhas and holy teachers are already assisting Heavenly Tao, going from one place to another, disseminating the world all over what is of the utmost preciousness. Why do they fear? They fear lest that one do not have the karmic affinity to meet with the truth. The fear is that you may not have the karmic affinity, you may not have the yuan, you don't have the yuan to encounter this, to come upon it. And so either planchet writing, you know planchet writing? The sand writing. Sand writing is the planchet writing. And just like channeling, like our manifestation in the spiritual, in the past we used to have this spiritual channeling where the Xianhuo comes using the body of the Santai to communicate with us. And so this, with spiritualistic manifestations appearing. Why? Because we fear that we may not have the ability to find the truth. Tao, therefore, it was descended upon in response to the calamities coming to rescue from the fire and the water. Calamities of fire and water. Having received Tao, be diligent and repentant of your wrongdoings. Perform good deeds and cultivate virtues, reforming all of Buddha nature. We are all have the Buddha nature within us. The original Buddha children. So these are the reforming all of the Buddha origin. Setting up temples and putting forth your efforts, like what you are doing now, helping up the temple, the Tao. The roots are in our previous lives. Why did we do what we are doing now? Why do we do what we are doing now? Because the roots are planted in our previous lives. Being sincere, one will naturally be protected by the Buddhas and the immortals. Do take up some time from the busyness. Everybody is busy. Who is not? Snatch some time off the rush. Try to ferry others across. Scholars, peasants, industry and commerce workers, everyone, cultivating oneself by engaging in both holy and secular affairs. That's what we are engaging. We are not monks. We are not full-time. We are not full-time monks. We have to take care of our families. We have to take care of our work. So, despite that, we take care of both the holy and the worldly affairs. Be lively and flexible. Conform to the reasonableness is that the mean. The mean is to conform to what is reasonable. Follow the reasonable path, not the extremes. There's one this doctrine of the mean, right? The golden mean. I'm afraid that one may not practice, lest one practices, do not practice when it is after receiving Tao. When you have received Tao, we don't practice. Neither learning nor understanding or keeping to heart. Are the 7 emotions and the 6 desires. We have been insatiably covetous. How would then one escape the calamities? While we are all covered with the 7 emotions. These 7 emotions, love, anger, hatred, and all these are our emotions. Everyone, every human individual, every sentient being does have that. Loving kindness. When you say loving kindness, why do we need to get out this loving kindness? Because the Buddha says, love although is a good thing. But there's the type of love that we have for our own family, what you call selfish kind of love. It is not the love that you universal kind of love. And when you have selfish kind of love, no matter how loving the two words that the persons are concerned, when one departs or separates, it will cause you a lot of pain. And that is the distinguishing feature of selfish love. But if your love is throughout all the world, you like our Lao Qian, it came all the way from China in 1947. He left his family, not because he doesn't love his family, but he says, I love the sentient beings more. And he's proven correct. In his funeral, even his children say that, Daddy, you are right. The universal love brings, where selfish love brings pain, universal love brings happiness. At least there is no regret. That's the most important thing. Because someone can ask, why is love an emotion that is so negative? Depends on what kind of love you have. Of course we do love. What is it? Right? It's come naturally as it comes as anger, like when you see people, you say that, oh, they are angry. Because sometimes they are angry because of some certain injustice. What is wrong with that? Correct? Anger is not necessarily bad, right? But these are the emotions we have to watch out for. As much as love is. This is what the Buddha says. In fact, the precarious times are at hand now, very critical times. Yet the ignorant, yet people, the souls, lost souls remain ignorant. Why are we so worried? First is the worry that the end is coming soon. The end is finally coming soon. After all, this is the last, the final Dharma age. That's it. Second is that the lost still remain lost. Still remain unawakened. That is the second worry of the Buddha, Jin-Gong Buddha, as Patriarch. Third is that after receiving Tao, he does not practice. This is the worry. To the Buddhas, they don't worry. They worry not because for the family, they worry for all sentient beings. They are already Buddha. Why should they be worried? They have already been liberated. They have already gained enlightenment. Why are they worried? Why are Buddhas still worrying about that? They're supposed to be like in nirvana and happy, blissfully happy. Yet they are not. They are worrying. They are worrying that, okay, you don't practice. Fourth is that you lack faith in Tao. A lot of people, after being faced with certain setbacks in life, they start to question, if Tao is so good, why am I suffering? Right? The Buddha is afraid that you're asking these type of questions without realizing where the truth is. Fifth is that one sets no firm goals. We don't have any objectives in Tao. People say, come, you must set goals for yourself. And that's why the vow taking is so important. You set certain goals, whether you achieve it or not is another matter. But you must set firm goals in Tao. And sixth is that you give up halfway through. 半途而废, 半途而廢, halfway you give up. And the seventh is that people say, I'm so sincere. I come to Tao, pray every day. Yet I cannot see the results of what I'm asking for. The Buddhas are very worried that you have such thoughts. Okay? It's that one sincerity may not bear fruits. The eighth, there's one eighth also. The eighth is that despite his sincerity, he still meets a lot of problems. World still is before him. I'm so kind and good. Why did it happen to me? Ninth is that who are original nature, those who are all of us who are original nature, some of them do not want to come ashore, do not want to be sick. In other words, okay, you're so lost to this world. Nice friend, John. Okay. And the 10th step, for those who are plain sailing, that means who is going through life, okay, no, it's very smooth, life is very smooth. Then it's difficult for you to find the Dharma ship. No point, right? I'm so happy. I enjoy so much. Why do I want to look for this ship? It's difficult to find. It's difficult to find the Dharma ship. It's difficult for you to come aboard when you have been enjoying life so much. Everything is plain sailing. Everything is smooth. Why should I want to board the Dharma ship? Once the golden bell strikes and the mercy ship has moved, the golden bell strikes, Jin-Gong. He may regret that his having fallen. Regretting that is of no avail. He would rather he act earnestly now, the present, incessantly worrying and scalding tears falling. With whom could I share the painful sufferings? This is the heart of the Buddha. Not suffering because of himself, but because of his sentient beings. The tears are falling like our Lao Mu, tears of blood. From the oracle, the tears of blood flow from the eyes of our Lao Mu. With whom can I share the painful sufferings? The true nature of yourself is neither enhanced nor diminished. Both is the spiritual and the mundane. In cultivating the mind and nurturing one's true nature, we refine and be one. Come back, be one. Tao. Wishing to cultivate Tao sincerely, with sincerity, when you have sincerity, only then can you be inspired. With his sincerity is thus inspired in him the profound truth of the immortals and the Buddhas, as well as the innate spirituality of saints and sages. The truth must be followed to the fullest extent, more so the true principle to be abided by. Whoever recognizes and holds on to the primordial heavenly portal, just remember the heavenly portal, the first treasure, our treasure. Hold on to the primordial heavenly portal. The formation of the cosmos is most abstruse and profound. The truth of the primordial heavens is the most sublime, highest level. And Shu Sheng, Tao de Shu Sheng is the ultimately sublime. The original nature of man, here goes. The original nature of man is but that of the void. Our true nature is the void. So that talks about the true nature. Externally, we gain merit in propagating the Tao on behalf of heaven, while internally, he does so by gratifying his own temperament. Shutting the galloping mind. Our mind is like a horse galloping, always running from one to another, and reining your emotions. Do not be biased or partial. Jealously guard the middle. Perceive well the transforming and nurturing principle of nature. Nature is always transforming, changing. Cultivate one's outwards to realize the brightness of virtues. Okay, I think because of time constraint, I think we are already. Limpid as the water is nature's serenity. Nature is serene, just like as clear as the water, as clear as the mirror, and as limpid as the water. In not nurturing one's benevolence and virtue and relying only, some people say, in relying only on some golden panacea. You know, in the past they say that, oh, you do this, it's a magical formula, then you will be safe. Then you will be immortalized. You will live forever. here our Buddha says, in not nurturing your own benevolence and virtue, but only relying on certain outside golden panacea, some golden key, magic key, it is difficult for him to attain power. Okay? Alright? Do take some time off your business. Everybody is busy, seeking tranquility amidst the bustle. Within all this going on, you still maintain your tranquility. Rein in your capricious heart. Lock up the wanton thoughts and cleanse your emotions. Take each passing day anew. Daily cleanse and purify yourself. Treat each every day as a new beginning. That thus should he exhort himself by emulating Pan Min. Pan Min is, in the past, the emperors, while they're taking a bath in the tub, they will remind themselves what wrong they have done and not to repeat. So they carve the thing in the bathtub. So every time they take a bath, they look at those words and remind themselves, I have also to clean myself internally. Although I'm washing myself, I also have to clean myself spiritually. And this is Pan Min. In ancient times, first you have to practice Zen or meditation. In ancient times, to sit up, in order to be safe, you have to practice meditation and then initiated. Now this being the third period, the Buddha tells us, the last age of the universal power propagation, after the period of 60,000 years. Do not let this glory and honor pass you by. By this act are delivered your 9 generations of descendants and 7 generations of ancestors, all depend upon you. 九贤七祖，张官端. So this is, by this act are delivered 9 and 7 levels of his descendants and his ancestors, respectively, from the cycle of birth and rebirth. Not cultivating himself, by not cultivating, his ancestors are affected, grieving bitterly in the underworld. The Buddha is telling you that they are grieving because of our non-cultivation, our non-practicing, grieving bitterly in the underworld. So it's not only we who are affected by non-cultivation. Our ancestors and descendants are too. The true Tao, although it comes easy, it's also easy to lose. Right? 容易得，容易失掉. Okay? Be ever watchful over yourself. Keep it to heart. Be careful in your words and cautious in your deeds. Do not behave wildly, with fear and trepidation, as if one were walking along the edge of a cliff. Have you seen a cliff? And treading on thin ice. You know, as you approach everything so carefully and with cautiousness, as if you're walking along the edge of a cliff. Imagine yourself, or stepping on thin ice. So be guided by the 3 reflections. Every day remind yourself what you should do, what you should not. Adhere to the 4 don'ts, the 4 things you not to do. I'll elaborate in another session. Restrain and restore your proprieties. Be diligent in your merit making. And practice. Mentally recite the True Sutta. The True Sutta. The True Sutta is the second treasure. The true mental transmission that ends the rebirth cycle, transcending both the mundane and the spiritual. This present age has turned into the age of the last catastrophe. The lost and the sleeping ones, they're still sleeping, remain unawakened. Water and fire calamities are already close at hand. The gods and the ghosts, not only are we afraid, the gods and the ghosts are terrified at the happening of these events. Through spiritualistic and other manifestations, planchette writing, sand writing, spiritual manifestations, through all these are being performed to awaken the lost souls. because we're still lost. The Buddhas have to borrow the bodies of the sun type to tell us the truth. That's what it amounts to. So the gods and the ghosts are already terrified at all these events happening. And the spiritual manifestations are being performed. We used to have a lot of spiritual manifestations are being performed to awaken us. And all this by the mercy of heaven, the Dharma ship, Tao descends. Right? Still, although so, we need the concerted effort. We need to have the constant. We need to heaven and man needs to work jointly together. The heavenly Tao is only propagated through human beings. Do you find any animals receiving Tao? Even the ghosts and spirits, they can't do that because they don't have a human body. That's why they say it's only propagated through humans, not through ghosts or spirits. In fact, they are the spirits, who need to receive Tao because they don't have this human body. When one person transmitting to 10 and 100 to 1,000, myriads of them are saved. The critical times, here again repeat, the critical times are drawing near. You practice meditation, 打坐, Zen meditation, whatever meditation, practicing meditation and the golden elixir. Elixir is the golden magic, the panacea. Will not do. It will not do. The Buddha tells us. The only way is to painstakingly persuade, to talk to people about Tao, this way, and exhort others. In this way, although it's not difficult to do, we can still gain merits and we can still reap a lot of fruits. Okay. I'm aware that I'm a bit over time, but basically, since we don't have much in the second half of the session, maybe this being the last lecture, maybe we don't mind staying a bit late. Treating one's parents, you treat your parents as if they are strangers, as if they are passers-by, the Buddha tells us. Treating one's parents as if they were just passers-by. Sometimes we treat passers-by even better than we treat our parents. While being sweet on his wife, very good to the wife, everything listen to the wife. True and true, however. In listening to the wife's idle words, all his relatives are hurt. 是是非非 personalities again becomes back here, Buddha said. And out go the window all thoughts of relationship and family ties. Because of what? Because of one person talking idly about personalities. Because of that, out go the window all thoughts of relationship and family ties. And Buddhists are, what they say, does it make sense? Right? Dismissing the belief, they say that in immortals and Buddhas as superstition. All these are superstition, we believe. Dismissing the belief in immortals and Buddhas as mere superstition. And heavenly Tao as mere heresy. Proprieties and righteousness are scorned. What is that? Why you want to be like that? People also do like that. Why you do like that? Why you want to be like so honest like that or so what like that or something like that? Proprieties and righteousness are scorned. They didn't know that. Stupid. Foolish. Integrity and the shame of sense of shame is being made fun of. Women not behaving as what a woman does, and men not behaving as what a man is. That's what it said. So women not behaving as they should, not do men. Being ignorant of the proper behavior between the sexes. They are only concerned about freedom, equality. Wanton acts are committed by or against their true nature. The gross negative vibes pervading through the 3,000 worlds. The Buddhists believe that there are 3,000 worlds throughout the whole universe. Wreaking havoc with the 4 seasons. Now winter is summer and all this. All this description the whole world is in disorder now. Everyone has to wear masks. Wreaking havoc with the four seasons. The good and evil being hard to discern. What is good? What is evil? What is right? What is wrong? You know? And arising every way are the three disasters and the 8 calamities. Difficult indeed it is to turn back all evil minds. Scriptures that are left by the saints and sages are not read by the world. Nobody reads scriptures anymore. Do not shelve, do not put it aside, but carefully study, using your own innate nature to try to understand. Realize truth, realize inside the scriptures the abstruse principle that lies within. Complete self-realization of its transforming, nurturing nature. The great and divine Tao is of utmost preciousness, not to be taken lightly, but to be valued. Handle your holy affairs, affairs of the temple, affairs of the Tao Chang. Handle the holy affairs as you would of your own household. How do you handle your household affairs? With that degree of cautiousness, prudence, and wisdom, as you would. If I would manage my house like this, likewise would I manage the temple. Upholding, you see, these are the Buddha's words. Handle the holy affairs as you would of that of the household. Upholding and safeguarding power as you were defending your life. As you were defending your life. Do not prioritize the unreal, the false over the real. Do not underestimate the holy vis-a-vis the mundane. Know the priceless treasure that is a great Tao, arising, but keep on repeating now. This 60,000 years is not the only Buddha mentioned by this Buddha. Our Jin-Gong Buddha also mentioned 60,000 years. Maitreya Buddha also mentioned 60,000 years. Arising, but this one in over 60,000 years. Not descending into the world unless the time is right. And in conjunction with the masculine of souls, the mass redemption of souls, go back to the Donghua Assembly, where we all gather together. You know, every year we have this reunion. So we had a reunion, a universal reunion at the Donghua Assembly. Coming by to get the breakdown today is not easy. Because of the extraordinary propitious concurrence of man and heaven, yet the true Tao has to be upheld with a true heart. Being pretentious, the true Tao has to be followed by a true heart. Being pretentious, pretending, and being insincere, difficult for us to transcend the worldly things, affairs. Study carefully and realize the truth of the primordial law. Distinguish between the human mind and the Tao mind. Isn't that the 3 minds? Tao cannot be departed from one's thoughts. Okay? At all times, he has to preserve well in the mind. And that is good, one does. This is the Buddha, the Shakyamuni Buddha. Whatever is good, you do. No evil shall be committed. Whatever good, however small, you do. Evil, however small, you don't commit. Okay? You don't commit. Okay? You is the emperor. He was not the emperor. Yao Sun Yu, the third emperor, the third sage emperor, Yao Sun Yu, was not in favor of fine wines. You give him wine, you know, he doesn't like that. But he liked truthful words. Let him who gives of himself physically do his best. If you can do it, if you have the body to do it, do your best. If he can, him who can do so financially, you should even do the same. He who can do neither, I don't have the body, I'm sick, I cannot come to the temple. and I have no money, I cannot contribute. You can do neither. Actually, the Buddha tells us it's just a matter of wishing or not, whether you wish to do or not. Let him keep the faith, at least keep your faith in power. As even with his pious heart, when you offer the 3 sticks of incense within your heart, the Buddha can feel to be touched. As long as you keep the 3 sticks of incense that you offer to the Buddha within your heart. Setting his mind wholeheartedly on Tao cultivation, again, snatching time off. Mani Tao Xian in Mandarin. In order to deliver across all who are of royal origins. Remember, we are all royal children of God. If anyone can build this way, if you can look at this, then what is the problem with cultivation? The Buddha said, right? Was it something like that? Okay. Study and what a great learning. Great learning, we are studying our, and the doctrine of the mean. It's like cutting and grinding the stone, polishing, refining our true nature. Exercise moderation and harmonization of all things. Abide by the heavenly principles. Everything, by abiding by the heavenly principles, everything will have its proper place in heaven. The reason why this world is so upside down is because we don't abide by the heavenly principles. So everything is in the wrong place. Do not be biased in action, nor immoderate in consumption. Hold scrupulously to the center. Be close to your mentors and your friends. Be acquainted with the rules of etiquette and proprieties. Be respectful to elders as well as the elderly. Loving all and sundry. Associating with the virtuous. Those who are good, you befriend them more, learn from them. Being imbued with the greatness of nobility. Good and kind words ought to be spoken and heard more. Passing from one person to 10 to hundreds, thus is it propagated in various directions. Okay, I think we're coming very fast. Tao having descended from heaven, why is there the need to propagate it? Why should we need to propagate Tao? To propagate is to propound. Without being propounded, how will it flourish? 人同道，不是道同人。Okay? It's up to man to propagate and propound it. Without being propounded, how will it flourish? The qi, which inheres in the yin and the yang, the true self originating from heaven, illuminating the heavenly portal, first treasure, transcending the transcending and savage ones, unifying human, heaven and man. Therefore, the great Tao prospers because of this. Okay. Hasten to propagate Tao as the hour has come. Again, we are entering this final stage. Difficult indeed it is to keep up all the calamities. The masses are all sailing to save all beings. They are silently helping their ancestors to attain deliverance from the sunken seas. Who has committed no wrongs, unless he was a saint or a sage? Therefore, turn over a new leaf. If you have committed, turn over a new leaf. If you have not, do not commit one. Okay? Set the great goals and don't be unwavering and afraid of the demons, and be unbending in the face of setbacks. Being able to transmit the wondrous truth on behalf of heaven and to complete the amassment of soul. Go back to the long assembly. With that, I'd like to conclude the topic for tonight. Sorry to have taken, I think I have actually exceeded my time. With that, I beg your indulgence, and with that, thank you very much.